So today I wanted to talk about something a little bit different, uh, kind of some life lessons that I've learned in my short time here, mostly like through my 20s. Some mistakes I've made, maybe some advice that somebody could find useful who's going through the same thing, or maybe just a different perspective on things. So recently I kind of went to YouTube and went back to those times when I was in my early 20s, and I used to watch a lot of like YouTube gurus who, offered a lot of good advice to me, but at the same time, looking back on it now, like thinking that they had the perfect formula for happiness, right? So some of these people were like, if you plug in this formula and you do it this way and that way and this way, you're going to be happy. And that's not necessarily the case because happiness is different for everybody and it's measured in a different way for everybody too. Some people some people are happy no matter what. Like they could be going through the worst things ever and they're happy. Some people are never happy. And then some people, I feel like most people are in the category of like they're searching for it, but it's maybe not happening or it seems like kind of far away. So I'm by no means a person that's going to say like I'm completely happy and this is what worked for me and all this stuff and put a formula in because, I know that life is not a math equation. It's not it's not like some secret formula to happiness because some of the most successful people that you would think would never be depressed or, have any problems or be unhappy, some of the most successful people are the most unhappy because when you get to a certain point of success, which success is measured differently for everybody, right? Some people, success is money. Some people, success is starting a family or having a house or whatever. And then some people, like myself, consider success finding ultimate happiness, right? Like being happy with everything in your life, and, so that's a measure, at least for me, for success. So knowing that a lot of successful people are some of the most unhappy people it can be definitely disheartening, because if you don't have what you want and you think happiness is gonna come if you feel those things or you reach those goals or whatever, and that's not necessarily true. For some people, for sure, some people are just happy no matter what. So going back to those YouTube videos kind of in a mindset of this is kind of what I want to do with my channel is like maybe help some people out and give some advice, and God forbid, like find happiness myself maybe through this, I don't know, but so I'm just gonna go through some of the things like in my 20s like that helped me out. So one of my biggest issues in my 20s was, and still maybe now, is kind of relying maybe on other people to find happiness. So maybe putting weight on somebody or leaning on somebody to, ultimately expect that person to make me happy. And that's something I realized just recently that it's not, you have to find that yourself internally. And there's a lot of people that are never alone. They're always in a relationship. They're always, with somebody or, whatever. And I don't feel like those kind of people really find themselves 100% because, at least for me, I've found self-love, I guess, in isolation or solitude, especially with like the COVID shit and like being locked down and all that stuff. So I think a lot of people that are with somebody can definitely be happy, but you don't really get that opportunity to learn about yourself and see everybody else from kind of a different perspective when you're not with somebody. So that's one of the things is not leaning on somebody. You have to find it yourself. And, another thing is kind of keeping an open mind to everyone's opinion. Like I try to talk to as many people as I can, especially at work and places like that, where I just try to get as many perspectives as I can, because when you're in a rut or you're in a rough spot, thinking about somebody else's perspective can truly change your mindset. And thinking about, for me, the thing that's worked the best is like how much worse things can be. Think about the lowest point of your life. Maybe you're in the lowest point of your life, but how much worse could things be? It's a really hard thing to think about when you're in a spot where you're sad or depressed or whatever, and you feel like nothing's going your way. That's something to think about, is things could be worse. Maybe, you have a roof over your head, or, whatever. It's easier said than done for sure, because when I hit my lows, it's really hard to think about anything that could potentially even bring me out of it. That brings me to my next point, is like finding an outlet of some kind, either creatively or meditatively, if that's a word. Like just finding something that kind of distracts you or is an outlet directly, directing yourself away from whatever lows you feel, or whatever depression or anxiety you're feeling, or, that kind of thing. So I definitely have a lot of experience with that, because I've dealt with both of those things for a very long time. And just feeling now like I'm kind of getting a grip on it and getting control of it. So for anyone who's experiencing that same thing, I feel it, like I definitely, I feel the struggle without a doubt. So keeping an open mind, realizing that, everyone's different. Everyone sees the world in a completely different way. Nobody sees it the way you see it. And so thinking about things like that really help perspective. I feel like that's probably, at least for me, that's the number one thing, is just thinking about maybe someone else's life that's going through more than you are, or a spot in your life where things were way worse. So yeah, I think this is like a struggle felt from everybody. Everyone at a certain point has been like low or depressed, and maybe some people haven't. There's some people that are just, high on life, which I envy those people a lot, honestly. But yeah, kind of finding a hobby that you have. Luckily for me, like, I have a creative outlet in music, and I'm so grateful for that, because without that, I don't even want to think about, I'm just glad that that is a part of my life, and that I have that ability, and I have that outlet to use no matter what. It's always something I can think about when I'm down. It's just like, okay, well, at least I have this, at least there's this, at least there's that. So another thing that's happened the last couple years is changing the mindset. So going from thinking negatively all the time, which I still do. I consider myself a realist, but thinking negatively to switching that and going positive, and just thinking about things being positive. And I realized, like, for the longest time, that when you think negatively and you you expect the worst, and ultimately you want the worst to happen when you're expecting the worst. So that's another thing that I've struggled with for many years, is kind of in the self-sabotage realm of things, where it's like, okay, I think the worst thing is going to happen. Maybe there's something good that could happen, but I'm just going to ignore that, or I'm not even going to fuck with that at all, because I want what's in my mind. I want to validate myself negatively, or being negative. I want that to be validated by negative things happening. So when you start thinking positively, at least for me, that's worked wonders as far as my mindset goes. It's just thinking positively. Not always the most positive outcome is not always going to happen if you just think it. It's not some magic trick, but it definitely does help. At least for me, it's helped over the last couple of years. So thinking positively, you're also going to attract more positive thinking people into your life, and that's a huge thing too, is like being influenced who you're around. Still being yourself, but like, if you're around positive people constantly, more than likely you're going to start thinking positive, or those people aren't going to fuck with you at all, because they're just like, oh, this person's super negative, I don't even want to, whatever. So I hope these are some useful things. I kind of want to steer more into this kind of realm of things with my channel, and So I'm encouraging anybody who watches this, leave a comment, send me an email of a subject you want to talk about, maybe a question or like a topic of a video or something like that. And I'll definitely mention you and make a video of it. Smash that like button, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.